If you haven't shipped anything this week, this is your reset. I'm breaking down exactly what to do over the next 7 days to get your Amazon store back on track. And today we're going to call it the 7 day reset. 7 day reset. I love a good fucking plan when it comes together. Candace, thanks for joining. I love talking about a reset better than anybody. I have reset so many things in my life. It feels like there's going to be something great coming on. I am down 20 pounds. I am on a reset of my own. But today we're going to be talking about Amazon, and the goal is to get you back into execution mode immediately. And this is going to apply to those that are out there that are working on their business. You've been working on it for weeks and it's not necessarily moving. Tonight, we're just going to really fix that, right? If you haven't shipped anything this week, this is for you. If your store feels like it's a little messy, this one's for you. If you're overthinking every time you go to buy something, this is for you. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about your problems. Yeah. Now, most of you guys in the chats, if you want to say, that's not really my problem, but it kind of is my problem, you can put it in the chats, you can laugh about it and all this stuff. But you have too many tabs open. You're looking at different tools, you're looking at different leads, you're looking at different ideas, and it's making you feel stuck. You don't have a clear daily target. Things seem almost confusing, like you're learning with like no progress. Like it just is not, there's not anything really coming together. And I've said it over and over to so many people, but you need to remember that Amazon rewards people who finish cycles, not the people who keep starting new ones. So we're trying to be rewarded in a platform that moves inventory. So we need to be moving with it, right? Okay, so we're going to move fast and we're going to go through everything. Day one, what do we need to do? We need to know our numbers. Now, if you had been a part of the last couple of weeks of training calls, you know that last week we talked about seller board. Understanding seller board gives us the ability to identify selling products and dead inventory. And those two things can have a huge impact on our store. Dead inventory is money that we are sitting on that isn't moving, that we need to actually either break even on, get our money back, or lose a little bit and then start reinvesting it somewhere else. So dead inventory is a key indicator of where money's stuck and where we're not moving. The next thing is on seller board in the recommended quantity for reorder, we can see what our top 5 selling products are. And using that, we no longer are guessing. We're no longer taking the expensive method of guessing what to do next. So we're going to open up our seller board. This is day one. Let me put it in the chats. Day one activity is opening seller board. Open your seller board. Number one, identify, let's call it identify your top 5 sellers and identify dead weight. Well, let's call it dead weight. Yeah, it just sounds a certain kind of way when we said let's call it dead weight. It is dead weight, right? It holds us down. What's going on, AMAC? Good to have you here. Anna and Claudio, always a pleasure. Nisha in the house, great to have you here. Okay, great. So let's go back. So now we've identified these items. What are our top sellers? What is the ones that are having the dead weight, right? So we can start to move that money that's dead and we can work on day two. On day two, what we're going to do is we're going to reorder our top 3 to 5 ASINs. We're going to reorder. We're not going to overthink it. We're just going to refill it, right? Now, some of you guys are going to open a restock report and it's going to say that you sold 100 something units in the last 7 days. You need to restock it with 1,400 units. And you're going to say to yourself, fuck, 1,400 times $4, that's like $6,000. You're like, I'm not doing that. There's been plenty of times where we do that. We look at it and we say, oh my God, I'm not doing that. I'm not spending $6,000 on that today. And that's not what this is about. This is actually about you identifying that there's an opportunity sitting right there for you. You paid for the software. You paid the $15 a month, or you paid for the free 60-day trial and you're not even using it. And it's literally telling you. Now, whether you use it or not for 1,400 units, or you open it up and you say to yourself, okay, I sold 150 in the last 7 days. Minimally, I'm going back in stock with 200 units. Do you see how much easier and how much more tolerable that is? You're doing more than you did in the last 30 days, and you're doing more than what sold, but you don't have to overwhelm your pocketbook at the same time. Just do more than what you did before. If you always do more than you did before, you will do better, right? If a husband and wife spend every day kissing, eventually they make it to the bedroom. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, sooner or later, you end up having a baby. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just math. It's just math. There's just only so many times that it can happen, and then eventually, you know what the result is. So on day two, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna type it into the chat again. Let's go over here. Okay, long calls today. Long calls today. Let's see. Day two. Day two. Let's put this in the chats. We are going to reorder our top love notes. We're gonna write love notes. Our top 3 to 5 ASINs, and we're not gonna overthinking. No overthinking. We're just refilling. Just refilling this, right? Because we need to remember that scaling is boring. Like I have said this so many times, and some people understand it better than others. The actual selling on Amazon is quite boring. When you get into it of repeating the same thing over and over again, you start looking for something unusual to do because it's actually quite boring. Day two is very boring because it has to do with the same thing over and over again. So now what we're going to do is we've done that. Now we've ordered these products because we're like, okay, we're going to restock this shit. So on day three, what you're going to do is you're going to find 3 new products using the same methods you used up till this point of building your store, finding profitable products, determining whether or not they're going to be good, getting ready to do a test buy. Now, many times people have asked me, how many units should I buy? 5 units, 10 units. I promise you'll know whether or not it'll sell. And if it's part of an optimized shipment and one box opens up in the next 24 to 48 hours and sells, you know it's go time. If 1 unit sold right when it opened, you know you could minimally send 30 more units in the next couple of days and it'd be just fine. Oh God, stuffing condiment packages are That's why I said, Russ, for those of you guys that attended the condiment package sourcing training, that is not for the weak. That is not for the weak. That's why I said new people would never do it. They would just never do it. They'd be like, what the fuck, right? First off, they'll be like, what the fuck is this girl talking about? There's no way there's any money in this. And then you would do it, and then you actually you break open a case pack of 1,000, and you're just like, fuck it, I can't believe I'm doing this, right? And then the money starts rolling in, and then you understand why you do it. So in day three, what we're gonna do is we are going to, he says he loves it. Day three. Well, it gives you something to do at your store. Find 3 new products. And I'm putting it in the chat for those you guys. You guys can copy it and everything. You're going to find 3 products. You're going to use your normal criteria, use criteria, which is like standard, right? 35, 40%, let's call it 40% ROI, low sellers, good BSR. Yeah. Good BSR. You know I love some good BSR. Okay, we're gonna do a test by 5 to 10 units. Good. Davis, thanks for joining. Let's see. Regina has made it as well. Miss Lupi, thank you so much for being here. Who did I miss? Okay, good. Great. All right. Okay, good. So now we have product we reordered. We have product that we're now buying, and now we found new products. Now we're actually on that no hesitation day 4, where we are actually going to, if the criteria matches what we're looking for, we are going to buy. Then this is where most people fail, right? You think and think and think instead of acting. You say to yourself, I'm not quite sure, maybe it doesn't work, maybe it could work. And now you hesitated. And the hesitation brings in doubt. It brings in ideas of times in the past where you may have bought something and it didn't work out. Maybe you bought something in the past and you overbought, and all of these things that went wrong. And that's life, right? It doesn't matter if it's Amazon selling or if it is engaging in communication with friends, family, or something. If there is a negative situation or something that happened in the past, it, in one way or another, will alter your decision making moving forward unless you can act without hesitation and just buy. And this is why I said 5-unit, 10-unit test buys work, because when we are doing that, what happens is we now put ourselves in a position to not fight these decisions, and it's done. Once you've checked out, it's done. You add it to the cart, it's over, right? And earlier we were talking about something as simple as we could talk about a paper made ungate through office supply. And that would be $1.64 per unit. 100 units would be $164. And after you check out, when you're doing it, you're going to be like, is this really going to work? Am I going to get ungated? You're going to have all of these decisions that keep coming through your mind. But in all reality, you're going to have 100 units of paper made erasers that you can put into listings, and they're highly profitable right now. And all you have to do is just buy it, right? But by not just executing on the simple tactic of buying, and that would mean just click and check out as quick as possible, you in one way or another are going to stop yourself from in being in something that actually sells during a very high period of, I mean, we're going into one of the higher periods of selling, Prime Day and back to school. So there was be no reason why anybody wouldn't take a chance on a $164 investment right now. And I will tell you that if you do plan on doing that, keep in mind, those go out of stock in May. You won't be restocking them in May. This won't be one of those conversations where you're like, oh my God, it really sold really well. And then you go in May and you find out there are none, because everybody's buying for what? Everybody who knows is buying and have already bought them all for June and July. And so now you put yourself in a weird spot because you went slow. And you don't need to go slow. You just need to check out. Okay. So day 4 is about buying without hesitation. Day 4, buy without hesitation. I should have done this all in one thing so you guys could see it all in the thing, right? So it's all about that. So now we're into day 5, because remember, this is a 7-step reset. So what do? We take everything we bought, whether we bought it in stores, bought it online, all these things, and now we ship it. We ship it today or we ship it the next day, because money doesn't start working until it's at Amazon. And money sitting in our house makes nothing. Money sitting that we didn't spend makes zero. We have a zero investment making zero over and over again. And we've all learned that because we've had clever hiding spaces within our houses where we keep stockpiling inventory for another day, for a later time, for some other time where we could send it in, instead of just acting on the impulse of actually sending it right now. And this goes for everybody here. And I don't think there's anyone new to it. Even if you're brand new, you've held on to the inventory way too much. Call the guy in the brown truck for $9 for pickup. Put the little pressure on yourself. Lisa, good to have you here. Esther, good to have you. Penny, thanks so much for joining. You put your pressure on you by ordering the UPS pickup for tomorrow, and then you will fucking get that shipment done. You're like, damn it, damn it, damn it, I gotta get that stuff done. And you'll be staying up, you'll be drinking Red Bulls at 10 o'clock at night, trying to stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning to make sure that stuff is ready for when they get there, right? And we've all somewhat done it, right? So day 5 of our reset program, you got the pickup schedule for tomorrow? I know. I have a new program, and I load it all in the car, and then I go to the gym, and on the way back I actually drop it all off. So I used to be miserable about it, but now I'm not anymore. So day 5 is about prepping and shipping. And minimally, if it doesn't go out today, it goes out tomorrow, right? And we don't wait, because we know that our money is tied to that. Now, we are not trying to stay in inventory so long that it doesn't turn over in 30 days, because smart money knows that we can turn this money over on a monthly basis. Every 30 days, we can use the same money. Maybe it carries over for about 6 weeks because of the payout periods, but we can use the same money as long as it's moving fast. It's that dead inventory that holds up part of our spending and then has us dipping into other reserves or other places to grab more money to invest into the venture. But we don't have to do that. And repricing software has made it so it's a lot simpler for us to exit out of inventory that isn't selling without emotion. And we need to let it do its thing, okay? So let's go on to what we do in day 6, right? So this is where we do our pricing checks. This is where we review the listings, turn our repricers on, and adjust pricing. because we don't want to kill a good product, but we want to make sure that our product has every opportunity to sell. Now, let me give you a couple examples of how you could inadvertently work against your repricer when it is supposed to be selling through at the max period here in the first 30 days, turning up the heat and aggression in the next 31 to 60 days, and then liquidating out at 61 days. It's such a little thing. It sneaks up on all of us. Well, I bought this product for a certain amount and I really can't let it go for this amount. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a low and I'm going to set a high. And now the repricer can't even go to your maximum because you put a max on it. It can't even go to the maximum. And there were some crayons I sold, and a lot of people know here. There was a couple of those crayons I sold during Easter. I was selling for $15 a box. And that's because I didn't have a maximum on my crayons. I did have a minimum on them because I didn't want them to sell under a certain amount, but I did not have a maximum. And because I did that, I was able to capture sales at $15 a box. Now, is that going to happen for everybody? Not necessarily, but here's the thing. The minute you start limiting what it's doing, you might as well just go back to manual pricing all day long, because that's what you're doing. You're not allowing it to sell at the price it's supposed to for the first 30 days, and not allowing it to drop the price a little bit for the next 30 days, and you're not allowing it to liquidate out your dead inventory. You're holding on to it again as if you're a hoarder, and you might as well just left it in your fucking closet because it's not going to sell. So we need to make sure that we're as competitive as the listing is, and we need to identify certain buying periods and when we would and would not buy more. There's so much more to it, right? But in this one, we're talking about day 6 being about pricing. We're going to do a pricing check. Now, if you don't have a repricer, then you're manually doing it. Nose goes, you are the one. You are the one who reprices. And whether you like it or not, AI repricing is pricing people at 200 to 500 times per hour while you're sitting there trying to change your price once or twice a day. 200 to 500 times per hour for $47 a month while you're doing it 1 time, 2 times a day. You're trying to just manually do it because all of a sudden your sales aren't quite where it's at. So you're going to go ahead and adjust pricing instead of just letting it actually work the way it's supposed to. And that's what we talk about pricing checks, turning our repricer on. Let me mark that. Turning repricer on, because we do have to add our costs and everything, and then adjusting prices. No, not always. Sabeta, I'd say that there are some really low end products where, let's say you buy a product over at Dollar Tree and and if you already do, then you know what I'm talking about. You buy a couple products over at Dollar Tree, they're $1.25, and you're selling them on Amazon for about $6.99, and you don't put a maximum in there. Could that product sell for a higher price? Absolutely. Should it sell above $9.99 for a $1.25 product? Probably not. Probably even in a listing like that where it's selling 2,000 times per month, probably don't want to leave the max open so it can go to 13 as you go low in stock, because it's just one of those things where when you're low in stock, you just need to go back in stock. But in other cases where there's limited amount of inventory, you want to make sure that that you don't have a max set. And when there's not a lot of sellers, not a lot of inventory available, you want it to have the freedom to go up, right? But you don't want to price yourself so far out that people won't be able to buy it either. And I'll give you a great example. I think there were some Tuscany candles where I was running low in stock and then it went all the way up to $40. And I was like, bruh, I'm so pissed off because I really wanted them gone at like $22.99. I just wanted to know, will they sell between $20.99 and $22? I don't need it to be at $39 for a week. I just want it to sell. And once it's gone, I can decide whether or not I want to restock. And I knew as well, I had a very limited amount of time because the sale was going to end. And if I don't catch it now, I'm going to have to wait another 30 days for the sale to drop again. So I need the data to make another decision about purchasing. And I can't get it because the reprice is fucking jacking my fucking leg. It's got my panties in a wad. I'm upset, but these are things that you have to work through with your repricer. But this is more about you set your repricer at $7.49, and it moved to $6.99, and it was still 200% return on investment, and you just wanted it to sell at $7.49 so bad that you missed that the entire marketplace was moving without you. Norma, good to have you in here. Evelyn, thanks so much for joining. Elizabeth, looks like Melvin's here too. Shelly in the house. Reno too. What? Okay, good. All right. Lisa put Repricer put my $2 cost crayon sold for 37 and sold. I'm sure that'll be returned. I said the same thing. I was like, ain't no way I'm not getting a return on all of these $15 crayons. And I didn't. I didn't get a return on those. And we have to remember that there was a limited amount in the marketplace as well on those products. So I wasn't going to get a return because they couldn't have found them anyways. All right. So now we're going to go back to the last step and day 7. So day 6 was pricing and recheck. And day 7, we're going to do what's called review and repeat. What sold, what didn't, what gets reordered. And this is basically how you build the business. Now, this is not what did I find on day 1 that I reordered on day 2 that I went and did and I prepped on day 5 that sold. That's not this. This is you starting the cycle all over again and reviewing day 1, which was opening up your seller board and finding out what's selling, what sold, what didn't, what needs to get reordered. This is a very boring cycle. I love Amazon, but I will admit there are days that are boring. And some of this data that you look at on a daily basis is not exciting. It's like, okay, I need to restock this with 100 units. Okay, great. Let me just go figure out how to get 100 of these, right? Like, it's not exciting. There's no like, oh, it's just restocking. You know what's exciting? Restocking it and then going and hanging out with your grandkids. Restocking it and going and putting your feet in the ocean. That's exciting, right? That's the stuff you got to get excited for. You got to look at what is it leading you to. That's where the excitement comes. We're not trying to get excitement out of this. If we were to compare this, which is basically the 7 steps, to clocking in, clocking out, I would say there's not one person in here that would prefer clocking in and clocking out for 8 hours with somebody else when they could just wrap up these 7 steps in less than 20 minutes to 30 minutes a day. Russ is like, nope, I'd rather stuff 200 units of condiments. Still cannot. I can't. Some of you guys from the premium group be fucking cracking me up. All right, good. So let me go in and write this in. Day 7. We call it review and repeat. Let me write it in. What sold? What didn't? You would think I would just copy this from somewhere. And what gets reordered? What's up, Miss DK? Review and repeat. What sold? What didn't? What gets reordered? Now we have a 7-day reset. Super simple. Let's roll up. Let's look at it again. Day 1, open your seller board, identify your top sellers, identify dead weight. We're getting rid of it. Day 2, reorder our top 3 to 5 ASINs. No overthinking, just refilling. Day 3, find new products. Use the criteria, the normal one. Standard 40% ROI, low sellers, good BSR. Day 4, buy without hesitation. No holdback. Push the button, check out. Day 5, prep and ship. Day 6, price checking. Adjusting prices, turning your repricer on. Day 7, review and repeat. Review and repeat. That's it. There is nothing more to it. I wish there was more. I wish I could just sit here and go, oh, and if you do X, you'll make $20,000. No, there isn't more. This is how it's done. Every day. This is how it's done. And those that do it well know that sometimes it's ridiculously ugly restocking over and over again. You're constantly prepping, you're constantly packing, you're constantly sending it in. And lulls are any times when you see that those items aren't going to Amazon, you find that you're going to have a dip in your sales. And it can be attributed, if you're having a low week in sales, you can attribute it to somewhere 5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, where you didn't send as much, you didn't source as much, you didn't spend as much. It's all there. It's 1-for-1, always going to be there. And so what does that mean for like when we go into our next like week? Well, before you go to bed tonight, are you completing number 1? If you did 1, you say, okay, I'm all done, right? If you're committed to doing it, then you're like, okay, I'm committing to this. I'm going to make sure I do number 1, right? Consistency is everything. You are being rewarded heavily. If you don't think this is heavy rewards for consistency on Amazon, it's heavy. You might as well call yourself, let me tell you something. We got diaper school. We'll call it diaper school down here. And then we got like high school, college, and then we got pro. If you don't think that at the pro level, that is somebody that is constantly checking the numbers, repricing the products, and turning around, reordering, and restocking, that is pro level shit right there. That is consistent shit. And rightfully so, because any athlete that was training would reach a certain level because they were consistent down here at the bottom. They weren't consistent at the end. They were consistent at the beginning and all the way through, and it led them to pro status. It doesn't matter if you are an athlete or not. This is the same concept. You must be consistent in order to maintain and get to that end goal, right? You've got to be there. Does the repricer stay on, or are there times you need to turn it off? It stays on. It stays on. Some listings may not want it on though, but for the most part, it stays on. So let's talk about examples where we wouldn't want it on, right? And then we just toggle the switch off on that. We have an FBM product, we're the only seller, and we don't want it moving around. We just want it to sit where it's at. That would be a great example of turning it off. You don't need it on for that. There's nobody there, right? And then you can just manually move the price yourself when you feel like it. And I think that actually works. Right? Okay, so if you follow this like 7-day steps, your store will move, right? If you don't, it won't. It really is that simple. There's not much more to it. You do the steps and your store will move. You do not do the steps, it won't. You'll be sitting there going, I wonder what I can do to get this thing moving again. I told someone earlier in the mentorship, I told them, I said, you want to recover this whole thing? Send a shipment a day for the next like 21 days. The whole entire dynamics of everything will resurrect itself. Send single SKU AWD, send multiple SKUs in one box, send optimize, change it up every day. One day is optimized, the next day is mixed SKUs. Next day is optimized, next day is AWD. Change it up, but do it every single day. 21 days, everything would change. I mean, at best, if you sent a shipment every single day, if you committed a shipment every day for 21 days, you'd at least hit the 21-day habit mode. Because it wouldn't be each week, because one shipment a week in 6 weeks is still only 6 shipments. Yeah, it's only 6. So that doesn't even hit the 21, but 21 days in a row. When you say, Lindsay, where the fuck am I going to get some money for 21 days? Who said all the boxes had to be completely full? No one said you had to have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 units. You can send 50 units in a box. That's fine. Send 20. I sent one today. 27 units. It's juicy. It was a juicy 27 units, but that's all there was in there, 27 units. I wasn't doing anymore. I have another one that's going out tomorrow. Day before yesterday, I sent 25. I don't need this anymore. I just want to make sure I send one. I send one, right? And that's what you need to commit to. You need to make sure that you're committing to it. Let's see. Any other things? Last thing. If you end up slowing down, if any of you guys are out there and you are trying to do this and you slow down, just remember you're in thinking mode. You're thinking too hard and you're not in the action anymore. You're not in the activity and action mode of what has to happen in order to change your store. You're in the thinking part. It's like, have you ever seen anybody who aggressively uses ChatGPT but can't necessarily get anything done? And they're like, oh, I love ChatGPT. It just, I plugged in all the stuff and it told me this and it told me that, but they don't get anything done. And you're just like, bro, stop writing into ChatGPT. You're not using any of the data anyways. And I'll tell you, that's a great resource as well, because I think there was another seller who was using ChatGPT to write out his restock data from his restock information from seller board. So he's taking basically the seller board info and then saying, can you make out based on this amount that's needed? This is the amount I have, this much an FC transfer. Can you tell me how much would be this without exceeding a certain budget? How would I get this in stock over the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks? Or what would be a good restock over the next 6 months with this type of budget? You're using the stuff incorrectly. You're expecting it to just spit out the answers when all you have, if you're using Sellerboard, you have data. If you plug the data in and then you ask it to draw up a plan for you, at least you can execute it. You can literally print it out and execute it. So this is the same exact thing here. When you guys go on to YouTube later to watch it, because I'll repost it again on YouTube, there'll be a little checklist down below for everybody to copy. Does anybody have any questions today? I feel like it was like a short call, but you've been shipping daily. Good. PLS 63. That's what I'm talking about. I love daily shipping. It is the best. It is the best. Thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth posted it as one copy paste. You're too sweet. Thank you, sister. Thank you, sister. That's awesome. I was like, that is awesome. And that's all you have to really do. That is your 7-day reset. And anybody can do it. And anyone that feels like they're behind, they can do it. You just say, you know what? I'm just gonna start right now. I'm gonna start with this. And that's it. And you get it going again. I like lining up a minimum of 10 boxes in the hallway. Do I have mine lined up? Oh, the other side is bad over there, but I got them lined up in a different kind of way. But you are right. I don't think I could do 10. I think I'd do 5. I do 5 at a time. I just don't see myself doing 10. I just don't see it. I get no, I can't do it. I ain't doing it. I did. I'm not doing it. I'm not even going to talk about it. I can't. She said, Penny says I got 6. I'm working on 7. That's awesome. That's awesome, Penny. Anybody else have any wins? Any great successes you want to talk about? That's awesome. Penny's got that great stuff going. PLS 63 has been shipping daily. That's what I'm talking about. Just says consistency rules all. It really does. We talked a lot about it in the mentorships. And one of the things that's always helping people is staying consistent on a weekly basis. Penny says it paying off debt. That's great. I'm going through a little evolution like that too, Penny, where I'm like, I think it's just time. And it's becoming just at that age where I should not be carrying any kind of debts at all. So kind of shifting everything as we go. Just says she had 11 go out yesterday. That's beautiful. These are great wins. These are great wins. I think that a lot of times people don't share enough of how they're doing, so then others can't really gauge what they could be doing. It's never going to be a comparison, but it is also a gauge that you could, because they can, and many of them are working. Penny has a full-time job. Let's see who else we got up there. PLS 63, full-time jobs, and still getting out 6, 10, 11 boxes. So it's good. It's good. So you just have to. Hector and Charles, literally full-time gigs, literally getting the stuff out. Oh, Mark T on his first AWD shipment today. Remember Tuesday's call on capacity limits? Bruh, if you are at your capacity, you need to send the AWD. It is going to be your saving grace, and it's one of the easiest things to do. Melvin with 1,500 units going out on Saturday, that's freaking great. Just as like, that's why you have 11 that went out. Angie says full-time gigs suck, but I still try to get one shipment out at least 10 boxes per week. And that's, Angie, I'm going to say one of the things that you're the most consistent with, and you are going over to the outbound channel, is seeing that you always do have those 10 boxes go out. You really do. I've noticed that as well. So I would definitely give you credit for that. That's some good shit right there. Good shit. That's why you went. So just put 11 to AWD. Did you? Oh, so you sent them out because you're trying to work on capacity. Yeah, we're all trying to work on capacity. I told my son that fucking pallet's got to go out by Monday. I said, because I can't have my capacity get like brought down, because I was like, no matter what, shit's got to go out. So this is the same thing. Everybody here can go through that. Hector, good to have you in here. Let's see who else I missed. Make sure I did get a chance to say hello to everybody. Hector, let's see. Okay, yeah, Kathy's here too. Good to have you here, Kathy. Okay, great. This is good. This is good. Super excited to have everybody here. Yeah, I think that today, for those of you guys that are in the full access group, we'll be doing our back to school call, back to school sourcing call on Saturday. It's important that you guys make it. It will be recorded for those that don't make it. But it's one of those ones where we kind of be in the moment. And when we're in that moment, it's just, I block away like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm going to talk a lot about crayons and Crayola products. I'm excited for it too, because last year's back to school call kind of landed a week before everything dropped. I think I'm a little early on this one, but I think with everything we've been talking about on capacity limits and storage limits at Amazon, I think the timing is correct. And I think that, yeah, Russ said that you did change your life, Russ. That's when you joined the premium group. I remember. I got you to finally, I was like, I got you. I got you on TikTok. I'm like, come in here. I'll teach you how to melt your credit card. It was the best decision ever. Best decision. And like little did he know, I'm like, it's $99 a month. And little did he know I got him. I was like, bro, we can teach you how to spend like 5,000 in like 5 minutes. And it was true. Remember, everyone was checking out. Everybody started checking out 1,200 at a time. Next thing you know, you got 10,000 crayons sitting on your doorstep 2 days later. It was crazy. It's crazy. It's about to be crazy again. I'm super excited to be along for the ride. Kathy's like, I saw PTSD. Stop it. There was crayons everywhere. Everybody's gonna be like, I hate the smell of my house right now. That's true. I did get you on the crayons. I got everybody on that one. Why? Because it's one of those times where it's really great. For those of you guys that are confused about what to sell, and I'll end off with this today, but for those of you guys that are confused on what to sell with Prime Day landing in the last weeks of June this year, just remember that the stuff that you already sell will sell on Prime Day. It'll just sell faster and it'll sell more of it because consumers believe they're getting a good deal. So you don't need to recreate the wheel. You just need to literally just send your inventory into Amazon because Prime buying means they're actually getting it from Amazon and they're not getting it merchant fulfilled. So you have to actually adopt the business model and you actually have to be in it in order to really experience it. And so what you'll do is you're just going to like layer all of these really great things for starting in June with Prime Day into back to school, leading you through July and August, and then straight into fall everything and straight to the quarter four. Ah, the quarter four. It feels like I'm in a football game. I feel I'm in the football game and I'm the quarterback again. I'm so excited. If you're tired of trying to piece this together on your own and you want real structure, real accountability, and real results, click the link below and join the free training. That's where we actually build this out together.